Hi, this is Dale from the pool room. Just a quick intro video. I'm celebrating the fact that I've just finished chemo. So pretty happy and excited of the next part of my journey. So in the meantime though, let's just roll straight into the video. Good morning and welcome to the pool room. My name is Dale and today we're going to do a comparison between the new retro waves and the vintage line of Star Wars figures. I recently picked up a great collection of retro figures from Marketplace and thought it'd be a great opportunity to do a comparison video. Wave 1 and Wave 2 of the retro collection were scanned from the collection of Hasbro employee Steve Evans. We might be able to guess which figure variants he has from the retro collection. So I thought let's start with Leia and see if we can work it out. Going through each of these figures, I noticed that there's very little difference in the molds. Most of the differences were actually in the paint apps. So it's going to be very difficult to actually work out which one Hasbro used when they scanned Steve's vintage Leia, but we can kind of try and get the best from what we have here. So we'll bring up Leia from the retro collection. I might just bring her to the side a little bit. So this is obviously retro collection Leia. The first one I will bring up here is from my collection. We're going to get some good focus there, hopefully. Is a Noku Kader from my collection. I'll bring them closer together so that they're kind of at the same length. Ignore the fact that retro collection is shorter. It's only because I don't have her on a stand. So it's going to be difficult to actually get that size comparison. Without using a micrometer or anything like that, I have visually compared the width of the heads. Sometimes the paint apps can give you an optical illusion that one head is fatter than the other, but it's not very much the same. I have noticed from the sculpting though, if we can peel her dress apart a little bit there, is that when they have resculpted her, even though they've matched it pretty much identical, it's very much more chiseled, far more defined sculpt than the originals. The originals are muted, very much muted. So that's the Kader Noku. I think, to be honest, looking at her, I kind of have to go with paint apps almost. That's the one that they probably copied from the most. But let's just compare them. One thing you'll notice that the new retro, and this will happen with all of the figures, is that you start to realise that your vintage figures aren't as white as you thought they were, because when you have a look at these ones, they are like, the whites are like a blue white. They're absolutely insanely vivid. But yeah, that's so if you're after something that's so incredibly new in your collection, go ahead and get the retro ones. I don't know if I'm going to end up keeping them. There's some that I'll keep from the marketplace fine, because they were all loose. And there was Mon Mothma, and there was Tarkin, and so those ones there, even though I have picked them up carded, and I was going to open them, but now I'm thinking I'll just I'll keep the loose ones, which is, as my collection is, it's a loose collection, and I might just move on the carded versions again. Okay, so my second layer is a Taiwan variant. Again, you'll see that the mouldings were a little bit more muted on the Taiwan. The paint apps on the Taiwan a lot further back, so her hair mold seems to be a little different, and because it's in front of the paint apps. I'm really calling in for people who are variant collectors like myself that might be able to throw a bit of extra knowledge in the comments. And I want to know what's your take on some of these things, because like I'm not noticing any mold changes in the early figures like Leia. Help me out. Variant villain just goes with Coos. But yeah, not a great deal of information on the actual molds. So I'd really like to get some information, and that's what this channel is really trying to help out. It's just to be a database or a bank of information for variant collectors, new ones, and myself, who just likes to absorb knowledge. Okay, moving along. Those are from my collection. These ones don't have stands on them, so they will work out to be exactly the same height. The third one here is a Unitoy. Actually, we'll go third and fourth because they are both Unitoys. The third and fourth. These are the ones that I picked up just recently in those marketplace finds. So I thought I'd bring them both out and just see whether any of them kind of match her. Have you noticed that the hair, the vintage one has a far glossier hair? The one that comes out with the retro collection is almost matte. The paint apps are completely different. It's a very, very dark brown versus the dark brown, like almost to a black brown versus a brown that we got with the vintage layer. So paint apps completely different, but the mold variations, so incredibly not sure. Okay, let's move on. Moving on to Farm Boy Luke, we'll just bring out the retro collection one front and center first. Straight away you can see just how vivid white these retro collection figures are. Obviously the collections are old. These things are 40 something years old now, and they do have to yellow after time. That's just a thing. But I thought I had some pretty sparkly figures until this retro line came out, and I realized just how dull and maybe needing a clean my figures are. So that will come up in future episodes of the pool room. I'm going to play around with cleaning these guys, and I don't mean cleaning them with brightening them with a wash, but more just giving them a built-in one of those jewelry vibrators or something like that, and actually seeing how they tidy up. So the reason why I brought these two figures out first is they're both from Taiwan. So basically they are from the same factory, but just come out with different paint apps. And I honestly think that the second one that I brought out has to be the closest to the one that has been used from Steve Evans' collection, just from trying to match the paint colour and obviously the blonde hair versus the brown and the pumpkin head. But yeah, that's where I'm going, is that's the one they've used. Not a lot of information on mold variants for Luke Farm Boy. So if you have a lot of knowledge and that you can share with the channel, pop it in the comments. That's what this channel is all about. Is I want to create a database, some content that people can go to and learn from, because that's what I want to do. I want to keep learning about this and share what's out there. Okay, so straight up, I'm reckon that they pulled the paint apps from this particular Luke Farm Boy, which in my collection is a, I'll leave him out, which is a, I don't even have to bring the other ones out, which is a Taiwan one. You notice that the stance on the retro is very, very tight. Stance on this pumpkin head's pretty tight as well. I honestly think that that's got to do with how much play they've had. We would have children would have had them in a seeking position in their X-wings before we got X-wing Luke, or just the way they played with them. So I think they were splayed a little bit from that, but yeah. So, but other than that, nice tight stance on the retro collection Luke. Now the mighty Chewbacca. So retro collection. I did notice that my particular one here is a bit goofy. One that came in the collection is a bit goofy and doesn't stand right. I honestly think he's almost like a bit of a short paw. He's a bit sad, to be honest. But good colour, good paint apps. Other than his goofy stance, we won't pick on him for that. So if we're going to have a look at anything, I guess it's going to be whether he fits a certain. Are we going to focus now? Might have to focus that way. Sorry, bit of a shallow focus there. Don't know what happened. Okay, so if we're going to pick on anything, we're going to probably have a look at just the plastic that they used. Again, early Chewbacca, early figure, not much in the mold variants. There is like a paw error, I guess, the Bigfoot Chewbacca, which I'll show you soon. But it's, yeah, they're all just paint applications. If you can see the one over here on the far right, we've got what some people call green limb. It's a Kader where we've got degradation in the arms and not in the body, or the fact that this particular one that I'm showing up first is a Kader as well. So maybe the whole Chewbacca had degradation and has gone this really dark brown. It's difficult to know, but yeah, that's the beauty of the Chewbacca figures, is that they do have these wild different browns, and they're very collectible for that reason. I will show you. Let's actually have a quick look. I'll pull up these two Kaders and see if I can get some focus on the toes. If you have a look at the what is their left foot, but for us on their right, you can actually have a look that one has a small toe and one has, come on, focus please. Should get some focus here. Or is it just being a jerk for me today? Where can I get some focus? Yeah, one has a ridiculously big toe. Where's my camera? Is that better? That's better. Yeah, and one has a ridiculously big toe. So caused by the actual paw, and but it's a known variant, which is pretty cool. Right, so which one did they use for the collection? Probably looking at the paint apps, probably this Smile Factory one. It's going to be a pretty common one with most people, that they would have one from the Smile Factory. The other ones in my collection are Taiwan, and I do have a PBP in there as well. But looking at the paint applications, probably going to be more likely to be that Smile. This is my PBP with those freakish light blue eyes, which is pretty cool. And the we've got the Taiwan Chewbacca, who also has some lovely bright blue eyes, but just not quite these freaky Game of Thrones style blue eyes here, which is just this very pale blue. So what I think's the matching one is this Smile Factory. Chewbacca, please focus. Goodness me, I don't know why it's not tracking at the moment. But yes, definitely that particular one. So let me know in the comments. I want to hear all about your Chewbaccas too. Moving on to Darth Vader, what we'll do is we'll just bring the retro collection figure out first. What I'll do quickly, while I have him in hand, is I'll just show you a close-up of his facial features and his belt, because these are the two significant mold variations that I am familiar with. And then what I can do then is just call on the community, the Darth Vader collecting community, to tell me or tell us all what variations other than those that are quite significant, that we can probably try and identify our own figures. And that which is what I'm trying to do with this particular video, is identify what of Steve Evans' retro figures that created the retro collection. So this particular one, the belt has a small dot on it. It's silver, which is interesting because vintage Vaders are all white, but this particular one's silver. Actually, all the white details are silver on this particular one. The other variation that I'm aware of is on his chin. There are ones similar to this one where there are no knobs, but I've actually got my personal Darth Vader from my childhood has chin knobs. But I'll just show that in a moment. But what I'll do is I'll just stick him up here in front and center. Just keep him in focus. So the belt that I wanted to show you, this belt, let's have some focus. Yep. If you have a look, that most of mine actually have this large circle on the belt. That goes across the board for my collection, except for the Vader with the chin knobs. However, his head, the chin knobs on this one match the retro collection. So none of my Vaders, what have we got there? We've got 7 of them, actually match this retro collection. So I don't know which one they used. Maybe we can try and, pull in from the community and see if they can match one, but none of mine do. So head on this one matches. Body, however, is the same as this one from my childhood, where, if we can get a little bit of focus maybe there, actually has the small knob on the belt. Okay, but as you'll notice on my childhood one, the chin knobs are actually really quite significant on this one compared to the retro collection. So completely different head sculpt. My collection, going left to right, is number 1's a Smile, 2 Made in Taiwan, that was my childhood one, 3's a Kader, 4's a No Ku Kader, 5 and 6 are both Kaders. and 7 is a raised bar Noku Kader. So the two last ones that aren't on stands, they're actually figures that I picked up in a recent marketplace find, so they haven't found their way into the pool room yet, and maybe I'll just get like the best of the two standard Kaders and then include the raised bar Kader into the collection. Imperial Stormtrooper. So many variations, so many variants. So, choosing which one they pulled the retro collection figure from is going to be a bit of a challenge. I've already gone through my collection, and I can say that there's one that I've picked out which is probably going to be the most likely, but it's not 100% perfect. So with there being so many variations, I'm sure that it was pulled from something that I don't actually particularly own. My Stormtroopers from left to right at the back there, there's two different Chinas. There is a Kader, there is a Unitoy. There's another Unitoy, then there's Smile, then there's Kader, then there's Unitoy again. The reason why I have so many variations is, and even though they're from different factories, the paint applications, you've got these double width mouths where you've got a thin top and a wide bottom. You've got a wide mouth which is completely wide. You've got a thin mouth, and they all bounce around between the different factories. On the back, these, if we can focus on here, the zeros and the 1-1s, if you want to call it, or just those particular markings on the back of the Stormtrooper are sharp or they're dull. They're the dots on the back of the helmet. There's wide ones, there's small ones. There's so many variations in this figure. Now, admittedly, with the Stormtrooper, by the way, he's beautiful because Stormtroopers are so prone to yellowing that to have such a vivid white one in the collection is always a blessing. So this particular retro figure I really like. He is, as it's a brand new mold, the sculpting is very sharp. So it's difficult whether that actually changes things. I'm not sure. But what I will do is I've chosen that I believe that the closest one to all my particular figures is this Unitoy variant. It's got the small mouth. The features are very similar. We could say that little button on the belly is different, and for sure the dots, like all the paint apps on the back of the head, which are also part of the sculpt as well for the helmet, are a lot. He's not going to stand now that he's fallen. Come on down. A bit of structure there, right? Just to make the video longer for everybody. He's deciding not to stand. Just doesn't want his back to you. You can see the paint apps and the sculpt for those helmet markings are a lot wider on this particular Unitoy. However, the softness of those zeros and ones you can see there are a lot less defined in that particular, in the other mold there, which was another Kader, or which was a Kader, one of the Kaders in my collection. But which one did they use? Don't know. I can't actually pick it, to be honest, because I can't match it to any of my particular figures. Maybe you can match it to one of yours. Share in the comments. It's all about learning. On to the next one. Last figure from the retro collection wave 1 is Han Solo. We'll just quickly bring up Han himself. This is the Retro Collection version, and as you can see, lovely and white. His gun, he's not holding it because the mold is crap and he just doesn't hold his gun. So a little bit of an error there, Hasbro. Now, interestingly, I didn't get a great deal of information from Variant Villain because they seem to focus on small head Han. I don't know if there's a difference in the molds, but there's no large head Hans on their website. Just center these a little bit. Now these other two figures are from my collection. They are a Unitoy on the left and a Kader on the right. There is not a great deal of not a great deal of variation in the paint apps. Only my Unitoy is a little bit worn, but yeah, you will notice though that if we're looking at the original the original figure as to which one they used for this particular retro collection, I would probably go the Kader, as the paint apps are probably the same, and also the hair color that they've used, because it is a darker brown than the Unitoy version. Yeah, not much to compare, to be honest, but that's them. Now, I do have one more retro collection that I will pop on this video, as it was a request by a fellow YouTuber. So let's get on to that now. So last one we have for this video is the figure by request, which was the retro collection Boba Fett, however you want to pronounce him. Again, not holding his gun because Hasbro has done a sucky version of the mold where he just doesn't hold his gun. So looking at this particular version, and you know the paint apps that that they have used, which which they've obviously mimicked Steve Evans' collection, but actually that's of interest because he supplied his figures for Wave 1 and Wave 2, and these would have been in either this the retro collection Boba Fett only came with the 2-pack Bounty Hunters, or with the Empire Wave. This particular one was with the 2-pack Bounty Hunters. But Steve's collection aside, let's see what they've used. We can pretty much say that I'll just pull this aside. My fits are in order from left to right: Kader, Taiwan, and Kader. They do have varying chest plate colours with regards to all of them. We obviously know that the Kaders are the light browns and the Taiwans are the dark browns. But that aside, that's why I have different figures in my collection, is because there are different colours. The gauntlets are different colours as well, probably not so obvious in the video, but it definitely when it comes to seeing them in the flesh. So looking at this particular one, what would we say it is closest to? It's a little bit dark. That's unusual, isn't it? It's a little bit darker than the Kaders. So did they pull it from Taiwan's? A little bit lighter than the Taiwan, so it's kind of like a half and half. Probably a little bit close. No, I can't even say it. It's definitely right in the guts, isn't it? It's right in the middle between a Taiwan and a Cada version of it, of FET. So maybe you have a FET in your collection that would best resemble the retro collection version, where I don't. I mean, like, there's so many different ones. At least they've used the same plastic colouring. It's probably a little bit more vivid than mine, but that's only because it's newer, and there's obviously some plastic degradation over the years, but definitely right in the middle with regards to the paint apps on the belt and holster and his little pack on the side of his belt there. So there you go. That is it for me for today. With regards to wave one of the retro collection marketplace find that I have, and comparing them to the actual vintage figures. As I always say, doesn't matter what you collect, just enjoy collecting it. That's the important thing. That's what we all do. And if you've got knowledge, variant knowledge that we can add to the community, pop it down in the comments. Love to hear from you. Like and subscribe, and keep following the content. I want to keep adding on weekly, if not bi-weekly. I also have a dinosaur that I'll put up every Wednesday for Wayback Wednesday. I also collect Mattel dinosaurs. So tune in, and until next time, take care.